Hello and welcome back to the official MTG Arena YouTube channel. It's me, it's CGB. Today in the arena, I am going to show you how to play Arna Sky Captain in the Brawl format because it's quite a bit different from Commander. In Commander, you often get time and a lot of enablers that you can play to set up a very, very big and powerful, well-equipped creature and then play your Commander to make many copies of it. Brawl, this is possible, but it's much more difficult. You have to have a much lower curve, and you have to protect your creatures much more vigorously than you may have to in Commander. So as you can see, we have a ton of 1, 2, and 3 mana cards to help create a kind of tempo deck around our Sky Captain. But hey, before we dive too deep, let's talk about what this card does. For 2 and a white and a blue and a black, 5 mana total, you get a 4/4 flying life-linking human knight. The ward is to discard a card, so the opponent won't want to target this, but they probably will if they have to, because Brawl is often about how many times you can kill the opponent's commander. Now, whenever a modified creature you control attacks, double the number of each kind of counter on it. Then, for each non-token permanent attached to it, create a token that's a copy of that permanent attached to that creature. So we want a great many artifacts, specifically equipments. We want auras that create value, and we would like +1/+1 counters now and then, so that any creatures that attack once we play our commander get stronger and more powerful. Some of the best examples of these are Rafine, Scheming Seer. This is a wonderful one because it connives and puts counters on your creatures, and then those counters get doubled, leading to the opponent getting beaten down very quickly. Other fun things to attack with include Batterbone and Mortar Pod, living weapons that create more germ tokens when you create more Mortar Pods and Batterbones from the attack triggers. On top of that, cards that draw cards are excellent to make copies of with Arna to continue to outvalue your opponent. Runes like Rune of Mortality and cards that are similar to runes like Cartouche of Knowledge really do a lot of work here, so we have a lot of card draw in the deck. On top of that, we also want to use some equipment now and then, like Sword of Forge and Frontier and Sword of Fire and Ice, because some of the most powerful things the deck can do are copy these equipments and get more and more triggers from them. Now, for all of this to work, we have to protect our creatures and our commander. We have a variety of counter spells in the deck, from Pact of Negation and Wash Away to Mana Tithe, which are cheap, but we also have cards that protect our creatures on the field, like Giver of Runes and Skrelv, so Defector Might. The deck is an interesting combination, a nice stew, if you will, of removal like Swords to Plowshares, hand disruption like Thoughtseize, recursion like Reanimate, disruption like Mana Tithe, and so on and so forth. Also packed in with living weapons, actual weapons, auras, and +1/+1 counters. Put it all together and you get a potentially powerful build for Brawl, and a deck that quite honestly is not easy to make work. I've been through a lot of versions of this, and you may even see a few games with some of those versions in the games that follow. But this is where we arrived. A low curve, a little bit of a tempo style, and cards that really enable this type of gameplay. Brawl is a wide format with a lot of options, and this is just one way that you can go, but it's what I found to be most successful. So let's show you the games. Let's dive in and let the nonsense begin. Velia, Exuberant Shepherd, a blink mono white deck, huh? Well, that should be interesting. Keep this hand. Leyline of Sanctity. Our opponent is ready for any and all targeting effects. That shouldn't affect us much. This is not the matchup they're looking for. Cryptic Coat. Let's go. Oh, the value. Pearl Medallion. Awesome in a mono white deck. Reduces mana cost by 1. Let's get out the Vengeful Victim. This 4/4 sacrifices itself at the end of combat when it attacks or blocks. That's why it's only 2 mana. But the backside is an aura that says whenever this attacks, create a 4/4 white spirit creature token that's tapped and attacking, which is vicious. Fortune, Loyal Steed. Okay, all the blink stuff coming together. Here's a card you probably missed. Stormcloud Curator has an instant to conjure X random cards from the spellbook. A spellbook featuring all kinds of hit auras from Magic history. Perfect for this deck if you're willing to spend a Mythic on Alchemy card. Let's get out the coat so we can start being aggressive. The little stick here tells us the opponent has something up their sleeve. And it's Philia, Exuberant Shepherd, because they have the Pearl Medallion. Let's hold back Dorothea. We'll block if the opponent dares attack in. Right now they have nothing to blink for value. Never mind. Elite Spellbinder ruins that. We're not getting rid of anything forever, though. It's just a bit more expensive. And the target? Probably Dorothea. Yep. So do we block? I don't think we do. Opponent's running away with the game at this point, but we just gotta get Arna down and we'll be okay. They took out our path to exile. I don't even know if I plan to use that. They did keep 2 on top, so maybe path to exile isn't such a bad idea. Problem is the mana. I think what I'd rather do is get a rune here and try to make sure we hit a land drop for Arna. We get a light pause. Yeah, let's run out the light pause. People get scared of the pause. And our face down card can't be blocked. Are you wondering what it was? It's Rafine. Maybe we will flip that face up. Dude, so aggressive. Fall to 17. We have a lifelink to counter race. Not very concerned about the life total. And they have Sword of Fire and Ice, which is a very odd one. Blinking isn't exactly what that deck is going for. I'm a little scared of a Mana Tithe, but we will not hold back. We will go for it. Beautiful. We have a ward, and the opponent's going to pay it, discarding a card to Fateful Absence. Well, that's no fun. I guess Light Pause isn't blocking, might as well be attacking. Sword is attached, which means Light Pause is probably getting picked off. Opponent's really trying to race us. Yeah, they kill Light Pause. They don't kill the face down Rafine, even though they could have paid the ward. They're going to curse Arna, but we're going to try to win without it. Swords to Plowshares off the top. That's handy. Play Invasion. Let's go get Ethereal Armor. Add that to our warded up creature. And go transform the Invasion. Dorothea doesn't look like she's doing much, but she is keeping our opponent from flickering anything else with Philia. Now they have Plaza. I'm really hoping they commit some mana here because I really want to exile the Philia. It's possible they just don't have the resource. Yep, here it comes. So we could swords here and make them use Plaza, effectively a Stone Rain. Oh, here it comes. Okay, so they're targeting to flicker this. In response, I guess we let it go. They did pay the 2. It's gonna come back as a Rafine though. That's nice. Re-equipping complete, but the crowbar is on hand. Here comes Rafine, Scheming Seer. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield, draw a card. Ooh, let's go. Value. Whenever it becomes attached to a creature, create a token that's a copy. Interesting. What's the right play? Getting rid of the sword seems like a pretty good play. Unfortunately, we're short a mana of that play. So maybe we just path the Spellbinder at the right time? Maybe we path the Spellbinder now. Has lifelink and indestructible if you have 3 other enchantments. We'll work on it. There's a land that we need. As much as I love this crowbar, I don't know if it's going to do me as much good as I want it to. And the enchantments get me closer to lifelink here. Feels weird, but we're discarding the crowbar. We just need to block with Dorothea. Let's put this on Rafine. Draw another card. 6/9. A 6/9 creature is nice. They'll probably just name Arna with the Peacekeeper and continue to make my life hard. Maybe they'll name the Stormkeld Curator. They named Cryptic Coat. Huh. Yep, punch me for 4, trigger the sword. We need one more enchantment for lifelink, so we've got to find a way to make that happen. They are at 14 though. I think they're in chump blocking territory. There's an enchantment right where we want it to go. Now everything flies. They're dead. Ah, we pulled through. Arna wasn't there to carry us, so we carried ourselves. Marchesa, Dealer of Death. Well, that's gotta be terrible for an Aura style deck. Hopefully they don't have a Thoughtseize, because Cryptic Coat is one of the cards that can be good against them. The inherent issue with auras and equipment is that if the opponent responds to either of them, trying to make your creature better with a removal spell, you basically got 2 for 1, is what they say. You applied 2 cards to create a better threat, and the opponent removed it with 1 card. Cryptic Coat does get around that, and is probably our best chance here. Our opponent's going for Brawl. We're going to remove that. We don't need white-black, we don't need white-blue, and blue-black doesn't cast what we want it to. Rhymes. I guess I will take the Hallowed Fountain. Get Brawl off the battlefield. Cost reduction too powerful, particularly on the play. And wow, a Better Bone. It's a living weapon. The equipment itself gives +1/+1 vigilance and lifelink. What's a Blood Hustler? Whenever you commit a crime, put a counter on it. Interesting. Rafine off the top. I honestly think we should get the coat down because it's that good against them, but Rafine applies much more pressure. And the ward might really throw them off their game. This is a tough one. I'm gonna go with Rafine. That's a lot of pressure. Security Bypass and Basri's Lieutenant. Lieutenant is also good against them because of protection from multicolored. I guess I'll drop the bypass as it is a potential 2-for-1 opportunity for them. Bandit's Hall. Whenever commit crime, get counter. Remove 2, counter, draw a card. And here comes the first crime, a Bloodchief's Thirst on the Germ. But Rafine remains. All right, bring out the Lieutenant. We'll put a counter on itself. So if it dies, we get a Knight, and we'll attack with Rafine. Put a counter on Rafine. All we had to do was draw a non-land card, and we did. And if it dies, we get a Knight. Also, if this resolves next turn, oh my, Bergie. Adds mana. What do they got cooking? Cowardice is what they have cooking. That's an example of how we can curve out. Shana Purifying Blade can be built as a control deck or another Voltron commander. You draw cards on end step equal to the life that you gained. This hand is fine. Cheap cards, get on the board, do cool stuff. Let's go get a Hallowed Fountain untapped and get our Giver of Runes onto the battlefield. Open mana. Let's see if they counter a Signet. Let's stay assertive with a Sleep Cursed Fairy. Even if they resolve Shana next turn, I'm not too terrified. I'm not attacking though, just in case they have an instant, flash in a creature of some kind, or some kind of a combat-based removal trick. Still no green mana, and they didn't do anything last turn, which tells me they're lining up a counter spell. I think we'll get this rune down. Try to apply it to the Sleep Cursed Fae, and then also try to remove a stun counter. They might just do something about the rune or the Fae. They're going to make disappear. I will pay. I guess that does put off the Fae from attacking for another turn or so. But now we have a plan to work our way to with Arna, and we have protection with the Pact. And you can tell it's the control build. It is becoming very clear. Rainforest cannot get untapped white right now. I want the Mana Tithe available. I think we'll just get regular blue. Ability. And again. And we begin our assault. Who's got the lifelink? This guy, not you. Passage. If the opponent has a counter spell, and I mean traditional 2-mana counter target spell, or something like it, like a mana drain, we might see Shana here, and just 2-mana open to pass. Instead, we see Explore. And is Kanta. So is that a wash away? If it is, they're going to regret it. Let's be sure with the untapped land and deploy our commander who resolves. Oh, baby. Another rune, another card, please. Double lifelink coming through. We'll find out if our opponent has a Wrath. They go for a time wipe. They will get Mana Tithed. Show me an untapped land, please. Okay, it was a tapped land. They just had that moment of, All right. It's time to inflict maximum damage. What do we tutor up? I think it's all that glitters. Strong. Very strong. Let's make some copies. Oh my. Oh my. Casual 19. You love to see it. Let's keep the pedal to the metal. Stoneforge Mystic. Let's go get Nettle Cyst. See if we can finish this game. We are well protected and we are well warded. What are you going to do about it? Yep, that checks out. Katiova. Okay. Well, our early game isn't great. On turn 3, we invade Theros. What then? We have no creature to put anything on except the Lieutenant. The Bauble can come out. Can prevent things like Once Upon a Time, Pact of Negation. Although they can just respond with a Once Upon a Time. It's a very mediocre hand, but the mana's good. I think I'll keep it. It also prevents some of the cascadey stuff that they might do. Katiova is a tough matchup. I'm gonna go straight for the Bauble. I might also just sacrifice it when I have spare mana. We shall see. Obviously, it's best against the Cascade commanders. That's a pretty good draw. Archive says Invisible Stalker. Yes, please. Untap blue. Yep. Let's just cash in. Gonna feel so bad though if they just snap off. If they just snapped off right now Once Upon a Time, it would be just be oh brutal. So we could put Curious Obsession here, but we just have to sacrifice it because nothing attacked. So let's not do that. Mystic Study. What a pain in the neck. I'll play this Arcane Signet. Pay the 1. I'll play Curious Obsession. Pay the 1. Miss Stoneforge Mystic. What you gonna do? You're gonna Boseiju Curious Obsession? Fear. So afraid they are. I'll take a Sewers and a Surveil. An Inquisition. I don't think that's what I'm looking for. We want to be way more proactive. So what do we want to get? And how do we want to play with Rhystic Study? You gotta assume there are some counters available, so we want to double spell. I guess I'll go for this Stoneforge Mystic and see what they do. No response. Interesting. What can we play here? Protection from green, protection from blue. Again, we don't have the land. Give me the spike. We need to put them on pressure, right? The The spike is a way to keep making a bigger army once Arna comes down. Feels like the opponent might have Wash Away. They go for a Timeless Witness on their Boseiju. Or, I guess one of these. Mana Drain. Now that is a magic card. Just do a little of this. Again, I'm just trying to keep paying the taxes to keep them from hitting their land drops. There's a land. We're gonna pay the 2 just in case of force spike effects. Punch, pass. We can cheat out the Aegis using the Mystic, which is a reason not to put the gift on it, but everything else was already unblockable. Counter race? I guess my life total is technically lower. And they have open mana. Let's do it like this. Threatening to put Coat down for free and use Mana Drain. If they're going to do nothing, I can do that too. But I can get around their counter magic. They foretell Alrund's Epiphany. I know it's Epiphany because there aren't many other cards they'd run here. Ooh, it's a Grace. Flipping it face up won't do anything for me though. We could bounce the Coat and just keep making more 2/2s. But I think we keep it on the board here. Sentinel. See how they like the taxes. They fall to 12. Resolves. Holding up Mana Drain. Staring them down. If they flinch, Arna's gonna come out and this game is gonna end. Drain you. Scoop it up. I can play tempo. Imskir. Affinity. Well, Curse is good. Yeah, actually this curve is pretty hot. Let's keep it. Kicking it off with a Darkar Wastes, Curse of Silence, naming Imskir, Iron Eater. You're going to need a lot of artifacts. Their deck should be built to do exactly that. Ragavan. We have a pretty good answer to Ragavan. And it's not a human, but it can gain indestructible upon being targeted. What? When it deals combat damage to a player, put a counter on it. If you do, you may remove that counter from another target permanent or opponent. Okay. That is a card. Come at me, bro. Nope. We have a Mana Tithe. I think the right play here is Aspirant. I'm sorry. Luminarch Ass Pirate. Counter here. Pass. That way they can both block the Slith if necessary. And we'll see if we can catch somebody with a Mana Tithe. Surely you have some amazing 3-mana play you'd like to make. Ouch. Don't like that. Menace, huh? Pretty good. At least we continue to hold Ragavan at bay. Warden of the Tower. 2 things that can block the Slith. but no Mana Tithe available. Fury? Did you think there might be more text on that card? Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. Ooh la la. Ooh la la. Well, we could keep it, rely on Stoneforge to do a lot of work. Obviously, Mana Tithe can be very good here against a 5 mana commander and a bunch of other expensive cards. And it's kind of a 3-lander. We have a Signet, which is really good with the Mana Tithe. Aegis can be one of the most powerful cards in the deck if the opponent, you know, lets me trigger my Arna. Also, it's good with the Mystic. Keep. Another curious card. Hopefully we get a good target for those soon. Cryptic Coat usually provides very good curiosity targets. Matter Reshaper. You know what? That's fine. Doesn't really hinder our plans. Mystic. Coat. Pass. Not sure we'll have the land on time. We could have ruined to try to hit it. I think we're better off chilling. Our opponent's not exactly putting a ton of pressure on us. We've got time. Let's pass. Slow and steady can win this race. Forsaken Monument. No. Please no. That must be stopped. No attack. Here comes a coat. What's underneath is a roaming throne. Unfortunately, it's already entered the battlefield and we didn't choose anything, so flipping it over doesn't help us too much other than making a 3-2 into a 4-4. Sigarda's Aid. Sure. That looks exciting. Let's put some auras on a creature, shall we? Triggers. Here, a Great Glass Spinner is nice, but I think getting Sigarda's Aid down is awesome. We can either bring out the Aegis, or we can rune up. Llanowar Elves. They're being careful with their Fused Atrocity. Can they play it here? Actually, yeah, they could. But instead they just choose to scoop it up. The value we're generating is too powerful.